Happy Thursday, beautiful people. Happy Thursday. Hold on, I was writing something down. That's why I clicked the button. Hold on. All right, beautiful people. Happy Thursday. It is August the 24th, 2023, day 94 of year 5 of reading through books, laws, and prophets, and of the 5-year consecutive day count. It is a 1,474. Today we're picking back up in Owaspy, and we will be reading chapter 9, and that begins on page 168. And then we're going to hop on over here to the Holy Megillah, also the Secret Nazarite Scroll, as referred to by us and a lot of other people that's been read it, on page 565, and we're going to read we're going to start chapter 40, and that is talking more about John the Baptist. And I ain't never heard a day in my life of reading the Holy Bible that John the Baptist walked on water, but anyway, so it gives a little bit of details about that. So with that being said, Father, we thank you that your creation reflects your unparalleled beauty. All right, beautiful people. Let's see who are here. Elijah, what's going on, fam? Nazarene is seen, Creator Gang, family lamb. Peace and blessings, beloved family, Elijah said. Zachariah, shalom. Mom, hey, girl, hey. Shalom. Just me. Peace, love, and light, family. Don't just see it, be it. In the background rolling. Be safe. Easy. Hey, girl, hey. Shalom and grand risings. Got my cannabis. Let's get it. And everybody else here hanging out in the background. Happy Thursday. Hold on the wrong page. Where everybody at? You have to come to the, I don't know, because I can't tell where y'all are coming from, because all the comments come in from every place to one place here, and it doesn't say where everybody come from. The only place that I can recognize people from is from the private Facebook group, because it shields your identity and just calls you Facebook user. It doesn't use your name or anything, any kind of special identifier, because you're streaming from the private group, right? So I don't know, check the main page. Everybody could have popped on the backup YouTube page by mistake. I don't know. Shalom, Drace and Righteous, shalom. But they there somewhere. They could be actually coming from the Facebook page. The Facebook page is not private, that's public. So, but I can tell you are coming from YouTube. Hold on. What? I can tell where y'all coming from. Not what YouTube page. So easy, you might be on the backup page. If you're on the backup page, then everybody else is on the main page. So you probably need to go to the main page. Kings and Queens Coaching Group, shalom. Derek, shalom, fam. All right, beautiful people, let's get this started. All right, so page 168 in Owaspy, chapter 9, Book of Fragapati. The hosts of the second resurrection were now conducted to the mansions previously created in Harati by Fragapati, and they were provided with teachers and occupations according to their development. So they ain't got there. They're closer than they were. They're still headed to the Red Star to help get things in order, start setting things back in place, because the humans have gotten off again, as well as those who should be helping them, the spirits. They're leading them astray, right? Okay, everybody should be growing. It's a school, everybody developing, but we got some selfish ninjas down here that's already crossed over, that's leading them to go another way, right? And they're stunting their growth. Fragapati said, the marshals in chief will now send the builders of the fire ships before me. I will speak to them. Now when the builders had come and duly saluted before the throne, Fragapati said, go build me an avalanza capable of carrying 3,000 million angels, with as many rooms capable of descent and ascent, and east and west and north and south motion, and prepare it with a magnet that it may face to the north whilst traveling. That's a good way to make sure they stay on track so they don't miss their destination. Prepare it with a magnet that it may face the north whilst traveling. The builders saluted and then withdrew and went and built the vessel. And it was 200,000 paces east and west, and the same north and south. Its height was 1,000 lengths, and the vesture around it was 1,000 paces thick, and it was provided with Etherian curtains, 200,000, and with 400,000 banners of all possible colors and shades and tints. Besides these were 50,000 small flags and streamers. The floor was woven in copy of a spider's net, extending from the center outward, and its circular bars at crosses, and the framework within was constructed with 1,000,000 uprights, the entire height of the vessel, and yet across these were 20,000,000 bars. Within the whole were the rooms and halls and places for musicians. When it was completed, the builders notified Fragapati. He said, Athavra, come down and sit on the throne. I promised to go and see Hoab in his colony in Zeredho when he should send me word regarding certain matters. Behold, messengers have notified me, and Hoab desireth to know how he can establish his colony, that he may never more fear to be annoyed by other gods and angels. Let 50,000 musicians enter the ship with me, besides a sufficient number of captains and officers to manage the ship. The marshals at once made the proper selections and took them to the ship. When they all entered Fragapati with them, and they departed. Hold on, I read that kind of wrong. The marshals at once made the proper selections and took them to the ship. When they all entered Fragapati with them, and they departed. So Fragapati returned to Zeredho, the second highest lower heaven, of which the ambitious Hoab, with his colony, desired to be sole occupant forever. So remember, these dudes already fully born spirit, angels, whatever you want to call them, right? They've done well, and they got to a place where they're not bothered by anybody. They know how to create a little bit, but they're not growing any further than where they're currently at. Neither do they want anybody coming there to join their part. It's like, we're okay here. This is the highest heaven that could possibly be. Everybody's good here. Ain't nobody doing anything nefarious. See, we can create a little and all this, but they just sitting around twiddling their thumbs, and they should be a little bit more productive in the overall atmosphere of the universe, helping somebody other than just sitting there amusing themselves with all these small things that they do that they think that is something, which is really not. So Fragapati returned to Zeredho, the second highest lower heaven, of which the ambitious Hoab, with his colony, desired to be sole occupant forever. Hoab was waiting to receive him, having aroused up a sufficient number of his indolent subjects to maintain the semblance of a heavenly council. But what a surprise! He had expected only a small vessel with a few attendants, and now when he beheld the magnificence of the Avalanza and the majesty of the band of musicians, so far transcending anything he had ever seen, he feared and was awestricken. Fragapati approached slowly, but with Avom lights. And when the ship was near at hand, the host aboard cast out hundreds of thousands of perfumed ovaries, which exploded with beautiful colors, filling the atmosphere around about with the most delightful perfume. Talking about a parade and putting on a show to let you know it's something higher than you out here, buddy. Fragapati approached slowly, but with Avom lights, and when the ship was near at hand, the host aboard cast out hundreds of thousands of perfumed ovaries, which exploded with beautiful colors, filling the atmosphere around about with the most delightful perfume. Finally, the Avalanza came to anchor, and Fragapati, without any ceremony, alighted, taking 1,000 attendants with him, and came directly up to Hoab, who was abashed somewhat on account of his shabby appearance. Fragapati said, Friend and brother, peace and joy be unto thee and thy house. To which Hoab replied, All hail, great chief. Happiness attend thee and thy host. And were it not that I had previously discovered thou wert a philosopher like myself, I would apologize for the vast difference betwixt the respective appearances of our hosts, but ye are welcome all the same. Fragapati said, a mere incident of conditions, most notable God. Fragapati said, a mere incident of conditions, most noble God. Thou art aware, when children go on a holiday excursion, they attire themselves in their best. So it is better that I find an apology than that thou shouldest. Hoab said, nay, chief, there is a philosophy in this matter which hath worried me of late. 1,000 years ago, my colony was ambitious to attire itself in grandeur and to build fine ships and go on excursions also. 500 years later, they ceased building ships and going on excursions, saying, what is the use? Latterly, they are all utilitarians, doing just as little as possible. In fact, many of my subjects deny themselves comforts on the plea that they can do without them. See how if you don't have something that's constantly causing you to grow, or at least what's the word? Not enticing. Something that's motivating you to grow, you just spiral downward and just descend. And I'll say descend, maybe not necessarily in intelligence, but I would say you would descend in doing intelligent things. Let me just read this over again. Verse 12. Hoab said, nay, chief, there is a philosophy in this matter which hath worried me of late. 1,000 years ago, my colony was ambitious to attire itself in grandeur and to build fine ships and go on excursions also. 500 years later, they ceased building ships and going on excursions, saying, what is the use? Because they ain't had no purpose. You ain't trying to teach nobody nothing. You ain't trying to get better than you already are. You just trying to float around like, look, I'm perfect. Hey, ain't nothing left for you to do. You got to find something to do. Later, hold on. 500 years later, they ceased building ships and going on excursions, saying, what is the use? Latterly, they are all utilitarians, doing just as little as possible. In fact, many of my subjects deny themselves comforts on the plea that they can do without them. Fragapati said, thou rememberest when I was here before, and I said to thee that without contentment no people had attained to peace, and thou did acquiesce. Fragapati said, thou rememberest when I was here before, I said to thee that without contentment no people had attained to peace, and thou did acquiesce. Why then shouldest thou not rejoice that thy people have thus subdued ambition and curiosity? Has thy mind in so short a time lost its contentment? Thou knowest I came hither to impart to thee and thy people a great secret, that ye may so fortify yourselves that ye shall never fear for gods or angels molesting you. Hoab said, hear me, O chief. If my people lose all ambition for rites and ceremonies and dancings and excursions, and keep constantly striving to deny themselves of everything save what necessity calleth for, and if that necessity becomes smaller and smaller, where will be the end? Will not all inspiration die out? For to tell the truth, since my people have given up rites and ceremonies and prayers and singings, they have also given up rejoicings of soul and are becoming like dead people. Wow. Fragapati said, then thou wouldst seem to prove that to hold on only to the useful in life will ultimately end in suicide to the state, to the family, to the individual, and even to the soul. That was a question. Let me read it again. Hold on. Fragapati said, then thou wouldst seem to prove that to hold on to only the useful in life would ultimately end in suicide to the state, to the family, to the individual, and even the soul. Hoab said, many of my people are too lazy to clothe themselves, and because of shame, they seek secluded places, as they say, to live as they please. Do not such people commit suicide against the state? Hath a man a right to withdraw himself from his fellows, saying, it suiteth me better? Wow. Let me highlight this. Talking about selfishness. Hold on. It's good. Listen. Verse 15, we're on page 170 at the top in Owaspy in the book of Fragapati. Okay. Verse 15, and we almost done. It's 21 verses. We're on verse 15. Fragapati said, then thou wouldst seem to prove that to hold on only to the useful in life will ultimately end in suicide to the state, to the family, to the individual, and even the soul. Hoab said, many of my people are too lazy to clothe themselves, and because of shame, they seek secluded places, as they say, to live as they please. Do not such people commit suicide against the state? Hath a man a right to withdraw himself from his fellows, saying, it suiteth me better? We have been told that in the first age of mortals, they had no ambition to live together, being void of all talents, and that the gods inspired them to language and to society, giving them rites and ceremonies as an inducement to make them harmonious and attractive to one another. Fragapati said, how shall I account for the difference betwixt thy arguments now and the other time I was with thee? Thou desirest me to believe that thou and thy people were the highest, best, happiest of all people in the heavens. Why this change? Like, bro, I was just here a couple weeks ago when you said everything was gravy here. Like, everybody living their best life, perfect. Now you calling your people lazy, don't nobody want to do nothing, they naked, don't want to clothe themselves, and hiding off up in the cut, talking about something. Listen, I get peace over here, just leave me alone. Like, what has changed since I was here last? Tabitha, hey girl, hey. Greetings to my sister Pam and all the wonderful beloveds in the Yoa. BC, what's going on, fam? Shalom, beautiful ones, love and life. Tabitha said to everyone, dreadful Cosmon, creator gang, bless up. Decent in integrity, perhaps. It's amazing how the false gods never attacked Hoab's kingdom and its people. They would have had them busy. They would have, right? But I told you, they done floated off. Look, like what's his name? Like Hoab now, he not necessarily complaining, but he is complaining in a way about his people not doing nothing. They naked, they don't even get dressed no more. Like, we didn't attain this perfect state and we don't know what to do with, but this is the highest, best heaven according to their knowledge. But it's been the highest, best heaven so long that ain't nobody else came in there to stir up the mix, and they don't know what to do with their best perfect selves, right? So they don't get out of bed no more. They don't even get dressed. They just off up in the cut, and they doing as less as possible now. They're essentially slowly dying, like, really. So you have to do something to constantly better yourself and develop yourself, right? Look, even me, I'm gonna be honest with y'all, I really didn't have to take the day before Sabbath off. I just wanted to, because what for? Like, seriously, I'm like, and it's amazing to me. I probably did need to take that break, because I'm really thinking about the mornings and where is this going? We've been doing this for 5 years. Is there no end in sight? Even like, I get this way sometimes, y'all, right? I'm super excited about the mornings because it helps me grow and develop, but I just have my moments sometimes, like, what for? Why? I can just sleep a little bit longer, and so this whole chapter is speaking to me, and I kid you not, every time I have these little moments, and we come back the next day or whatever day we come back, and I don't be reading ahead for real. Honestly, I really don't read ahead at this point most of the time, because I want to be just as excited when I read it the first time, so we can experience all the oohs and ahs together, so I can give you full, pure, unadulterated reaction, right? But then I come back today, and this is like speaking directly to me. It's hitting me deep down in my shanana, right? But seriously, I was like, okay, I have to give us the purpose is to uncover truth. We're going through removing all the religious dogma and everything. But what I think I need to do, I need to like write it out. Like, because the way my mind works, like, our purpose for just being here, not just hanging out, even though this is cool, but to keep me on track and not just end up like them in this best perfect paradise, I got to do something. There has to be a goal of constant growth and development, and how we can just keep growing and not just keep circling around the same being, wandering around the wilderness for 40 years, going around the same. I don't want to do that here. Did that long enough in Christianity, and I feel it sometimes. It's like, it's becoming like religious and stuff, and I'm just like, and I want to pull away. And so, but this is really good. I ain't read Fraggle Patty. How long it's been since we've been here? I guess maybe almost a year, because it took us 6 months to read through it, and we added some more books. So this is a good refresher, and it hit me on the day that I really needed it. Some days be like, just remove everything and just don't show up no more. I'm like, you know what? That is the ignorant you. You can't do that. I got to just remind myself of the purpose. And sometimes I'm just tired. I realize sometimes I just haven't gotten enough sleep and rest, because when I get tired, I get cranky. And if I'm staying, like, all of this is a big part of the equation, right? So I be having my moments sometimes. All right. Look, I know Tabitha, right? Look, I feel you, Sissy Pam. I have moments like the folks is a red hole. Hoab Kingdom. Hey. Listen, but this is good. That's why I had to come back and highlight this. I just had to confess my sins before the brethren and sisterin. Okay, but this is really speaking to me today. Okay. Let me go back. Verse 15, page 170 at the top. Fraggle Patty said, "Then thou wouldst seem to prove that to hold on only to the useful in life would ultimately end in suicide to the state, to the family, to the individual, and even to the soul." Hoab said, "Many of my people are too lazy to clothe themselves, and because of shame, they seek secluded places, as they say, to live as they please. Do not such people commit suicide against the state?" Right? By doing that, like, literally, you become you're no longer like an asset to the community, your family, or anybody. Like, well, what are you even doing? Listen. Hoab said, "Many of my people are too lazy to clothe themselves, and because of shame, they seek secluded places, as they say, to live as they please. Do not such people commit suicide against the state? Hath a man a right to withdraw himself from his fellows, saying, 'It suiteth me better'? We have been told that in the first age of mortals, they had no ambition to live together, being void of all talents, and that the gods inspired them to language and to society, giving them rites and ceremonies as an inducement to make them harmonious and attractive to one another." Fraggle Patty said, "How shall I account for the difference betwixt thy arguments now and the other time I was with thee? Thou desirest me to believe that thou and thy people were the highest, best, happiest of all people in all heavens. Why has this changed? Why this change?" Hoab said, "Thou didst promise me that thou wouldst teach us some way of protection against being molested by other gods and spirits from other kingdoms. Since then, I have reasoned on the subject, and I perceive that if such a state of security could be given to my people, they would wander off into isolation and even forget language and judgment." Like, if something don't happen here in my most perfect kingdom, everybody gonna be forever dumb. They even gonna forget how to talk. Listen, hold on. "Since then, I have reasoned on the subject, and I perceive that if such a state of security could be given to my people, they would wander off into isolation and even forget language and judgment. How then was it thou toldest me thou hadst been in heavens where such a state of seeming impossibility existed?" Fraggle Patty said, "Let not arguments sway thee, O Hoab, but rather examine proofs for thyself. I mistrusted that my statement to thee was too extravagant to be believed without evidence. Behold, then, what I have done. I bought a vessel large enough for all thy people, desiring that ye go with me to my kingdom, new founded in Horati. And if thou shouldest find any further desire, at the end of a few years, I will take thee and thy people to still another kingdom in a far off world. After that, and thou desireth, I will provide the same conveyance back to the red hole with power to rule over it to thy heart's content." Hoab said, fairest of gods, I feared indeed thou hadst come with the old story to worship the all light, the unknowable nothingness, with foolish ceremonies and rites and prayers and songs of praise, which, however good for the ignorant and superstitious, are worthless to a God as enlightened as I am. He said, you know what? I knew you ninja was coming back here. You was trying to take us back to church. There ain't no God. There is no God, right? And some of us, by the time we ready to burn down the church, listen, this is all foolishness. We're out of here, right? Listen, let me go back. Verse 20. It's only 21 verses, but they're real long. Hold on. Joab said, fairest of gods, I feared indeed thou hadst cometh with the old story to worship the all light, the unknowable nothingness, with foolish ceremonies and rites and prayers and songs of praise, which, however good for the ignorant and superstitious, are worthless to a God as enlightened as I am. This thou perceivest with thine own judgment. Gladly I will go with thee. Listen, you just ran off at the mouth of how there ain't no God, but then you come back and say out the other side of your mouth, but still, we down for the ride. I'm just saying, we're gonna go with you. But when all this is done, I mean, it'll be good for us to get out of here for a little bit. You know, Johnny need to put on some clothes. We tired of seeing him walk around him butt naked. You know, so it's good for us to get out for a while. We're gonna ride. And then we're gonna come back when you prove to us that this is the best place that we already at. Listen, Johnny, get your clothes on. Let's go. We all going for a ride. This thou perceivest with thine own judgment. Gladly will I go with thee, and I will persuade as many of my people as possible to go also. Thou art the first God that ever came to our heaven, that wanted not to circumscribe our liberties, which neither I nor my people can tolerate. These things were then communicated to the people of Zeredho. Johnny, get your clothes, get your wife, let's go. These things were then communicated to the people of Zeredho, and after a few days, they gathered together and went into the Avalanza, every soul of them. I guess all of them was tired. Everybody, we going on a field trip. Everybody got dressed, put on their best clothes, and hop in the ship. These things were then communicated to the people of Zeredho, and after a few days, they gathered together and went into the Avalanza, every soul of them. Fragapati signaled the commander not to go directly to Harati, but the way of Ukza, one of the halls in the Aosu Mountains, inhabited by thousands of millions of spirits in darkness, many of whom knew not who they were, nor had they names, being infants, idiots, and chaotic and foul smelling. The first stop on our field trip is hell. We're about to drop y'all off there. Look, these jokers about to be scared in the mud. Hold on. But that's the end of their chapter, y'all. All right, hop on over here to the Holy Megillah, y'all. Okay, who we at? 703. It's not that long. It's only 62 verses, but it's really it looks short. It's really just like 2 pages. So I think we'll be able to finish this in a few minutes. So hop on over here, page 565. Jamia, hey girl, hey, peace be with you, sister. TikTok creator is definitely undefeated. Good sleep has been my challenge lately. You good, sis? Do you, boo boo? Listen, when I sleep, even the day that now seriously though, the day I didn't have to take it off. I could have just took something, right? I did wake up with a headache. Matter of fact, I went to bed with a headache, and I was like, by the morning it'll be gone, you know. So, but by the morning time, it had actually gotten worse, you know, which I probably needed to drink more water and hydrate myself a little bit better. But I could have took something and just got up, but I just decided I'm gonna just take the extra day off, and tomorrow the Sabbath, and so I get 2 days of rest and do something about this headache. So, but yeah. All right, beautiful people. So, page 565 in the Secret Nazarite Scroll, officially, Scroll, the Secret Nazarite Scroll, officially known as the Holy Megillah. Chapter 40. The initiatory baptisms of the Lord and Lady as publicly proclaimed Christ Messiahs by John the Baptizer. When Yeshua and Miriam came to the River Jordan at Halajah Ford to meet John the Proclaimer, John was teaching a crowd of 50 men. So remember, in the Bible, this is that part when they said only Jesus showed up. And John was like, the Son of God, the dove that landed on his head. That's him, right? But Miriam was with him, but they completely scrubbed sis out the Bible. I mean, from beside him anyway. They put her somewhere else and called her a whore. Like, seriously. I'm like, what? Now that I've got more pieces to the story. When Yeshua, oh, that is the biggest disrespect. When Yeshua and Miriam came to the River Jordan at Halajah Ford to meet John the Proclaimer, John was teaching a crowd of 50 men. The Lord's 12 disciples and 7 disciples of the lady had met up with the Lord and Lady the day before and now accompanied them to meet John. Seeing the crowd of 50, Yeshua and Miriam sat on a high stone at the back of the assembly to enjoy the talk. Their disciples also seated themselves and listened to John preach. Seeing the Lord and Lady, John paused from his sermon and approached them in sincere reverence. His reverence was revealed in his eyes, and his skin glowed brightly with extraordinary radiance. When John reached the dangling feet of the Lord and Lady who sat upon the boulder, he spoke the following words and then kissed their feet. My Lord and Lady, I am not worthy to kiss the latches of your sandals. And, you know, in the Bible, they say, Lord, I'm not even worthy to kiss your foot. I mean, y'all get it. I'm exaggerating a little bit, but it's the same thing. But it didn't say your as in you too. It was just pointing out just the one, like your feet, the only one set of two. When John reached the dangling feet of the Lord and Lady who sat upon the boulder, he spoke the following words and then kissed their feet. Matter of fact, the T is capitalized in here. Capital T H-E-I-R, as to bring attention to this, like I just did. He spoke the following words and then kissed their feet. My Lord and Lady, I am not worthy to kiss the latches of your sandals. Even so, I am honored to serve as your proclaimer. Yeshua and Miriam replied, in Yah. Yeshua said, let it be forever known that you deserve to be sent as our proclaimer. Follow us into the waters of baptism, our longtime friend and co-worker in many worlds. Before you consecrate us by holy proclamation sealed by baptism, let us consecrate you as a Christ in this world, as we have done in other worlds where you have served us in Jah and Yah. Then Miriam spoke, saying, John the Proclaimer, behold, we know the work you have done for us and our heavenly parents here and in many worlds. You have long been a pillar in the mountain of peace. You are a loyal friend and a brave lion. The Lord and Lady walked from the boulder where they had sat and approached the nearby baptismal pool. To the amazement of those assembled, Yeshua and Miriam walked upon the water of the baptismal pool. Stopping at the center of the pool, they turned and spoke to John, saying with one voice, come to us. The crowd was again amazed as John walked on the water to reach the Lord and Lady who stood atop the water in the center of the pool. The three embraced, and great light radiated from that triangle. The Lord and Lady then spoke the words of initiation of John as a Christed being in this world, acknowledging in holy ritual what was already true in fact. Lo, it is not by keeping Christhood to themselves that the Lord and Lady Christ succeeded, but in teaching others to become Christ through the yoke of the four pillars of discipleship as green wizards of the white rose, now and forever in Yah. Amen. Even this is talking about constantly teaching others and not just, yep, I'm God, serve me, do what I say, right? Because that's what happened with the false guys, right? They become not necessarily Christed in the right line of light, but they do reach a certain level and then they just get there. This is my best perfect world. Nothing else is beyond me, right? And then they get up there, they start disintegrating in intelligence, and they just become dumb and they enslave people, serve me, because they truly have tricked themselves that this is the best, most highest heaven, right? The same thing. The Lord and Lady then spoke the words of initiation of John as a Christed being in this world, acknowledging in holy ritual what was already true in fact. Lo, it is not by keeping. All right, I got 5 minutes. See if I can finish this in 5 minutes. Lo, it is not by keeping Christhood to themselves that the Lord and Lady Christ succeed, but in teaching others to become Christ through the yoke of the 4 pillars of discipleship as green wizards of the white rose, now and forever in Yah. Amen. Yeshua said, from the lowest rung of initiation in the mystery school of the mountain of peace unto the exalted degree of Christ, we are one with the members of our church who are united in mutual forgiveness, loyal friendship, and shared work and joy for the uplift of all beings. After they baptized John, Miriam said, now John, baptize us with the baptism of acknowledgement. John then spoke to the assembly, saying, some of you have camped with me long enough to know that I am a Nazarene. You came because you heard that I baptize unto eternal life. You know that the Nazarene religion of the Essene way is an outlawed religion. I preach the gift of eternal life in Yah, the awareness of which is celebrated by baptism in water. This is not a new gift, but the original ancient gift. The gift is so ancient that it is forgotten by many. Wherefore my baptism is a wake up call. Wherefore my baptism is a wake up call. But there are also other baptisms, and none should be neglected. Where behold, you have fasted and cleansed yourself from gross evils, even abstaining from the eating of flesh while in this encampment. And now you will be tested. The Nazarene prophecies of the coming of the Lord and Lady Christ are this day fulfilled in the persons of Yeshua and Miriam. The Lord Christ Yeshua is Jade, come in the flesh, and the Lady Christ Miriam is Janah. Yeshua is our Emmanuel, our God immanent in creation. He is Oholiab, the tent of his father. Miriam is our Emmanuela, our goddess immanent in creation. She is a holy Ba, the tent of her mother. She is the dove of Jaja, and he is the lamb. And we, Nazarenes and Aaronites alike, are the children of their embrace. That is true whether or not we acknowledge that truth. I hereby proclaim that truth and invite the holy assembly to witness a sacred ritual. This is the ritual of acknowledgement that boldly declares that the Lord Christ and Lady Christ have come to this world in human flesh. It has been given unto me to acknowledge them, and with this ritual I do so. Then John baptized the Lord and Lady, acknowledging them as Jade and Janah, come as Yeshua and Miriam, their powers veiled, having come as humans, not as gods, was foretold by the prophet Malachi. John continued preaching, saying, in every land where a religion is accepted by the majority, most people never question their religion. Most are born into a particular religion and just accept it without question. Most of you were born Aaronite Jews or Israelites. Israel, that's what they're talking about. Most of you were born Aaronite Jews. I do not require that you convert to my religion to remain in this encampment, but I do require that if you remain in this encampment, you agree not to report our activities to the Aaronite or Roman authorities. Any who cannot make that pledge should leave now. Lo, no one left the encampment, and all made ready for the evening service that will follow. For behold, regardless of their religious beliefs, all felt the powerful presence of Yahweh in their midst. In truth, many stayed because they had witnessed real magic for the first time in their lives, the walking on the water by 3 Nazarenes. Some felt that the Nazarene teachings must be powerful and worthy of consideration to result in real magic, and stayed. even though they knew that this religion was persecuted and that to affiliate with it could mean death at the hands of Aaronites or Romans. None wished to leave, though some were uncertain whether or not they would join the Nazarene religion of the Essene way. All were willing to continue their training with John the Baptist. And that's the end of that chapter. We got 1 minute to spare. Hey, even though we only been live here 45 minutes, almost 45 minutes, but that's the end of that chapter. That was pretty good, y'all. I've never really heard anything more about John the Baptist than him baptizing Jesus at the ocean and then being beheaded, right? But this is really good. This gives us a lot more information on John the Baptist. So tomorrow, let's see. Oh no, we getting back into Peter again and his shenanigans. Peter returns and leads the first schism against the Lord and Lady. I wonder if it's going to tell us to go to that footnote all the way in the back, because that's like a 3-page footnote about Peter and Paul giving all this information. Hold on. It's talking about the Clementine text, Ebonite text that feature Peter or altered over the years. Seal of the prophets. Okay, it's referencing it, but it's not telling us to go to that footnote yet. We definitely gonna read it again when it tells us to. That was an amazing footnote, and it gives us a lot of resources and reference to some of the things and how the scriptures that most of the world has today, how it was changed. The not just the New Testament, but the Old Testament, how it was tampered with as well. This was really, really good, and it gives, like I said, a lot of references. Like some of them, if y'all ever watch Malachi's channel, Honor and Humility, he been talking about this for years, and he gives a lot of those references as well. But this is really, really good. So tomorrow is going to pick back up with Peter. I'm not sure if it goes back into John. Oh yeah, chapter 42. Oh, they instruct John's remnant. Okay, so it gives a little bit more about John. But anyway, we can pause right here today, beautiful people. Thank y'all for hanging out. It is Thursday, August the 24th, 2023, day 94 of year 5 of reading through books, laws, and prophets. And of the 5-year consecutive day count, it is day 1474. We read chapter 9 in Owaspy, which began on page 168. And then once we got done there, we hopped on over here to the Holy Megillah, also called by us a secret Nazarite scroll. And we read chapter 40, which began on page 565. All right, y'all. So with that being said, Father, we thank you that your entire created universe whispers and declares to us your eternal love. Listen, I'll be honest with y'all. I was running out of adorations. And I had to go to Old Faithful to help me out. Had to help my creativity. I went to ChatGPT. I'm just be honest with y'all. I'm just like, I don't know how people could keep doing that with my limited vocabulary and understanding. And I think, look, shucks, I don't even think I've been doing this for a year yet. Wait, no. Well, almost a year. Not quite at a year, but I started doing this when the first time we was reading through Owaspy, and remember we was learning about the false god's kingdom. And if you wanted to have a conversation with the false god, all the rigmarole you had to go through, like with every step you take and every move you make, you got to give a word of praise or adoration for this false god. So if you had to go 5 miles, the entire 5 miles with every step, and even some places where you can't walk on your feet because they deem it to be too holy, you got to crawl on your belly. Every slither you make, you had to come up. I'm like, you know what? I wouldn't have got past a block. I'm be like, you know what? I really don't need to talk to them. Just, can we send a message? He got email yet? Can I send a text? It'll be. I'm like, man, I'm running out of stuff to say. I just want to be honest. ChatGPT helped me out like real quick in a matter of seconds. Like, oh, I didn't even think about that. You're right. That is good. So I don't know if that's cheating, but it helps. It helps me put more words together to give our great creator words of adoration and praise. Like, I need a little bit of help to grow there, expand my vocabulary. But anyway, that's it, y'all. Done. Storm Hobbit, shalom. Hold on, some new people came in, or some people I ain't seen in a while. Denise Garraway, Grand Rising family. Pat Foster, shalom, shalom. Stone Hobbit, shalom. Let me see anybody else. Well, there's more people because it was like 30 people hanging out here, you know. And everybody that was hanging out in the background that didn't say anything, thank y'all for hanging out with us in the morning while we read in our book club and we shenanigans. All right, beautiful people, look, that's it. I'll see y'all back here tomorrow morning, bright and early, 6:15 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Bruce.
But I see through you.
I'm from outer space. I got Milky Way for blood, evolution in my veins. I'm gold, I've been far away. I'm
What did you just do to me?
I pushed your astral form out of your physical form.
What's in that tea? Psilocybin? LSD?
It's just tea. With a little honey.
What just happened?
For a moment, you entered the astral dimension.
What?
A place where the soul exists apart from the body.
Why are you doing this to me?
To show you just how much you don't know. Open your eyes.
been dreaming about dying for a long time. I had a vision from the birds, they won't go sign.
What's happening? This isn't real, this isn't real, this isn't real, this is...
Dreaming about dying for a long time. I had a vision from the birds, they won't go sign.
His heart rate is getting dangerously high.
He looks all right to me. You think that this material universe is all there is?
I don't need gravity, I don't need
What mysteries lie beyond the reach of your senses? Existence, mind and matter meet. Thoughts shape reality.
I don't need gravity, I just need gold. I am not really here, I'm an intrusion. I don't swim or sink, I just float.
Some benevolent and life-giving, filled with malice and hunger. Dark places where powers older than time and waiting.
I don't swim or sink, I just float.
Who are you in this vast multiverse?
I don't need gravity, I just need gold. I don't need gravity, I just need gold.
Have you seen that before in a gift shop?
I don't need gravity, I just need gold.
Teach me.
No.
It's an earthquake rumble. I won't ever ever fall, never stumble. And I don't need to be humble. Break down walls like Jericho crumble.